Shalom Hebrews, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Okay, Hebrews, it's something real serious going on. I'm talking about real serious. And, the Israelite Brotherhood whole job has been to put the Israelites on the right path so we can have a real understanding of what happened to us when we broke covenant. The videos that I show for the Israelite Brotherhood, kind of explain it, and I explain it in, all kind of ways, and this, what I want to explain is, man, it's like, it's no words that I can, try to, explain how serious it is. And this is basically what happened to us when we Israelites broke the covenant, is that we abandoned our heritage to the Babylonians, to the Amorites. Something real serious. I'm talking about the most serious thing that ever happened to the earth, because this is what the Creator didn't want, was the earth to be in the condition that is in today. And you get that from that destruction from the Amorite culture. And Hebrews, I'm talking about something real serious, is the administrative structure that the Amorites put together long time ago. Is what governs the Western culture. Yes, in Hebrews, it's impossible to break away from their system when you're raised in that system, and that system become part of your culture. It's impossible to break away from it, and the only way that it could be destroyed is from the Creator. And man, the Amorites are the most slickest people on the face of this earth. I'm talking about, man, they done escape quite a few destruction decrees that was put on them from the Creator. Sodom and Gomorrah is gonna be an Amorite holding, as well as the Canaanite culture that was in the promised land that we Israelites were supposed to destroy, is an Amorite culture. In Hebrews, man, it's something real serious. Look here, I've been reading this book now. I've been telling you, Hebrews, how the Babylonian scribes control Western culture and kind of like, define the meanings and so forth. And man, it's way more serious than what I can explain. And they will basically tell you, but they've been so slick, is when they translate their history, they try to make it seem like that it is not them. The Sephardic Jews, they got organizations now, hundreds of organizations that do their work. And man, the information that they expose about their ancient past, that they don't try to associate it with the Sephardic Jews, or with who are called Sephardims, who are from this town called Sippar. And Sippar is, man, I'm talking about something real serious. Something real serious. Matter of fact, Babylon itself couldn't have functioned without Sippar. And Sippar is gonna be, and man, it's like this. The little setup that they had was like government, the Babylon itself, where the Babylonian king was, he gonna be like a president. And then the Congress and the senators and the people who made the system work like today lived in Sippar, where the real power was. And Hebrews, I'm talking about the administrative structure that they had back then with just everything that we have today comes from back then. It's perfected now, and they done perfected the art of administration and running governments for doing it for thousands of years. Well, how about that this Amorite culture is what we Israelites were supposed to destroy? Ah, man, it's real wicked, and all the wickedness that you see today comes from the Canaanite culture. And Hebrews, I want to show you, if you Hebrews ever get a chance to read this book, that this book is called, this book is called Ancient Sipper. I done read a whole lot of information and materials on the Babylonian scribes and they functioning and so forth. Hundreds of books, and spent, count hundreds of probably 1,000 hours, probably about a good 3,000-4,000 hours just dedicated to just studying the Babylonian scribes functioning. But there's no other book this far that I done ran across that's more accurate and more revealing than this right here. And these are the people that was placed in our land, the people from Sipper. And man, they made the whole Babylonian system function. They couldn't have functioned without them. And how did these peoples was placed in our land? They was Babylonian scribes. And how did they was placed in our land in 722 BC, and how that after we Hebrews ran off into Africa to do the Egyptian religion, how about that our whole heritage went to those Babylonian scribes that's responsible for Babylon's history and Babylon's commerce and the whole administrative structure of Babylon, and how that they was responsible for it and keeping it intact. Now that's something real serious. The culture that we have today comes from them. Yes. Look, let me show you something else, Hebrews. That's like the first synagogues. The first synagogues set up in the Western Hemisphere is gonna be from the Sephardic congregations. Now, I'm gonna show you, and I've been telling everybody knows now, that the Sephardims are the Sephardis. It's just that they didn't translate their name, and they try not to translate their history to reveal who they really are and that they are Amorites, because these are the people that was placed in our land in 722 BC when we was on Egyptian religion, and then we ran off and then gave them folks our heritage. All right, look. Let me see. All of the oldest congregations in the New World. See, this New World Order. They're trying to make you think that they're trying to usher it in. It's about to die. The New World Order is about to phase out because the people in the Eastern nations didn't get fall up under the control of the Babylonian scribes like they wanted them to. They tried to get the Eastern nations like China and them other nations, but China resisted them because China didn't let the Christian organization set up, which would make the population worship the Jews, and China didn't go for that. All right, look. All of the oldest congregation in the New World were founded by Sephardic Jews and followed the Sephardic literature. That's they literature and heritage and structure, administrative structure. Look, all these congregations and stuff now, we know that the first synagogues in America gonna be built by the slaves, because ain't nowhere in the world that them Jews gonna be building those synagogues and so forth when they got slaves around to do it. And it's a documented fact that the slaves built the synagogues. And this what I want to show too, that if you look at A whole bunch of these synagogues is like the last ones that they started, that they, built in the 1800s. Is like that they knew that slavery was going to end, and that how they hurried up and throwed up some before slavery ended and so forth, because a whole bunch of them is like during the ending of slavery a few years after or a few years before. And these synagogues were set up by the Sephardic Jews. Now look, check this out. We know that the Sephardics are the Sephardims. And listen, the Hispanic Jews, they are responsible for Latin and the translation of Hebrew into Latin and Latin into English. They are the founders of Western culture. Check this out. If they set up a synagogue here in the United States, when this country, before it was founded as a nation, and then if they set up a synagogue here, then that's the institution of the the Eastern nations coming to America. Man, if they set up a synagogue, then they bringing the institutions and functionings of the East over to the West, and they gonna be the first one to do it, because ain't nobody else gonna have the power and the might to do that. But you see what it says: all of the oldest congregations in the New World, the New World Order, were founded by Sephardic Jews and follow the Sephardic liturgy. All right, and then check this out. Now this is what I did. I know when it typed in the word, man, I'm gonna do it now. Sephardim. Sephardim. Alright, now you see Sephardim right there. I just typed it in. Alright, now we're gonna see what it translates into. You see what it translates into. Sephardi. They telling you. They telling you right there. You see Sephardim translating into Sephardi. Let me do it again. Sephardim. Sephardim. Alright. Those are the Sephardic Jews. And guess what? They're from Sipper. They're from Sipper. And Sipper is the most serious city state in Mesopotamia, and it's founded by the Amorites. And the Amorites had the same administration that we have today. The same administrative structure that we have today is identical to what they had in Babylon. And guess what? It was the Babylonian scribes that come set the American system up, its schools and its institutions of learning and so forth. So therefore, that Babylonian system that was in the East, from ancient Sipper, the governments and how the government controlled everything, the taxing, all they created the tax, and that's how they function. They got a hierarchy now, man, to where they untouchable, and they was untouchable in the past, from property holding and being judges and administrators and so forth. And they outline their whole system of how they function. And when you read and understand what them people had, it's that same culture that the Creator told us to destroy. It's the same culture that the Creator told us to destroy. And guess what? If we would have destroyed the Amorite, Canaanite culture, then it would have been a utopia for the earth. You see what I'm saying? It would have been a utopia, and it wouldn't have been no problems nowhere, as the Tanakh explain that it's gonna be. And that's one of the reasons why they trying to keep us from coming into our heritage and knowing that we are Israelites, because we are the end to their administrative structure that imprisoned the whole planet and which is the root to all the evil and wickedness, is within the structure that they created, that culture. That culture in the Bible outlined the wickedness that, that the Amorite culture, produced. And man, we were supposed to have got rid of the Amorite culture, and man, that's like now the administrative structure that they got on us. It's impossible for us to break free. Now I'm talking about, it's impossible for us to break free because they control the people's mindset. The vast majority of us, and the only freedom that you're going to get is waking up to your Israelite heritage. It's the only freedom that you're going to get. And the Tanakh outlines this, and they know this. All right, Hebrews, let's look at what the Creator told us to destroy that Amorite culture. It was a reason why the Creator wanted us to destroy the Amorite culture, because it's not fair. It's not fair, and it's designed to enhance a certain group of people and keep them on a pedestal and keep them high, and then it produces misery and suffering. The Amorite culture produces suffering, and that's like when I was reading about how they function in Cypher, and they had slaves and so forth that walked around and took care of errands and that worked at jobs. We are in an identical situation. We are in an identical situation. You thought the slavery on the plantation was bad. Just imagine thinking that you're free to make your own choices in life, but you're really not. But you really not. Is the system that they got set up, and that how your every actions and function go to serve them, and how it's a hierarchy and they at the top of it. Oh man, it's awful. Look here, this is what the Creator told us. This is what the Creator told us. And the Creator told us not to fool with them Canaanites. And because man, that's where the evil and wickedness come from. Alright. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7. Now we know that the promise go all the way back to Prophet Abraham, and how he left Mesopotamia area when the Amorite culture was started to thrive heavily in the Mesopotamia area, and how our father Abraham left that area because the Gutians and the Kesites and the Hittites gonna be the fathers of the Gutians and the Kesites. It's like the Hittites took Babylon over and gave it to the Kesites. Those are gonna be Cain descendants, and how that they was moving around in Mesopotamia, coming up out them caves in the Zagros, in them underground caves in Turkey, and how that they went to Babylon in the Mesopotamian area, and that'll make Prophet Abraham want to get away from the wickedness and so forth, and how he was told to go to Canaan, and then how he would get that land. His descendants would get it, and how the Creator was going to put their evil, wicked lights out. Alright, this is Deuteronomy 7. When the Elohim thy Yah shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites. Look, you see that name number 1. The Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites. Look, you see the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Those are Amorites too. 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Elohim thy Yah shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Now, why did the Creator tell us not to make a covenant with them, or even listen to them and they pleas, and no kind of tricks that we should be associating with them, but to destroy them? Guess why? Because they some crafty peoples, real crafty. And if you listen to them, then they gonna get your man some kind of way. And that's, what happened to us in the Tanakh. Explain how we exodus Egypt, going into the land of Canaan to destroy that evil, wicked culture that make the world suffer, and how did they tricked us. All right, let's read this off. And when the Elohim thy Yah shall bring thee into the land of whether thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater than thou and mightier than thou. And look, all those nations gonna have Tazarat on them. They ain't gonna have no pigmentation. All these folks right here ain't gonna have no pigmentation. And when the Elohim thy Yah shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughters shalt thou take unto thy sons, for they will turn away thy sons from following me, that they may serve other gods. And that's what happened when you come in contact with these folks, is that they try to persuade you out of the path of righteousness and goodness, and put you on a path of wickedness and evil and destruction. And that's the culture that we have today as Israelites, from being up under the administration, the administrative structure that the Amorites produce. Now, I just showed you how the Amorites are the Sephardics, and how the Sephardics are the Sephardic Jews, and how that they come from Cypher, and how that they bring that Babylonian culture over here. Look, neither shalt thou make marriage with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, and nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy sons from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Elohim be kindled against you, and will destroy you suddenly. See, we will get destroyed suddenly for messing with them folks, and that's why we've been continuously getting destroyed, because we are caught up in this Canaanite culture. In this Canaanite culture, the very same, culture that the Creator told us to destroy. And the only way up out of this culture is to profess your Israelite heritage and say that you are Hebrew in captivity. And then it automatically align you up with scripture and heritage and everything. When you say that you a Hebrew, like that you a Hebrew Israelite in captivity, and how we are in captivity to this Amorite culture that the Creator told us to destroy a long time ago. They let you know that the Tanakh is real. Look, but this shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Elohim thy Yah. The Elohim thy Yah hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. See, we supposed to be above the Amorite Canaanite culture, which was a utopia. We create a utopia where you don't have to worry about everything, where everybody ain't just worried about selling and buying and money and so forth, and how that we was working to live for ourselves, and not working to enhance and promote the people in the hierarchy that's on top, the administrators and so forth, and how that we was free, open people without those restraints that was put on the other people that wasn't up under the covenant that we was given. See, the covenant we was given was supposed to destroy all that stuff, having people in prison spiritually and so forth. And that's what the Canaanite culture do. It imprison your soul. Look, for thou art an holy people unto the Elohim thy Yah. The Elohim thy Yah hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Elohim did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, but ye were fewest of all people. But because the Elohim loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Elohim brought you out of a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? That's like now. We are in a bondage system. And this is Egypt too, because the medical practices and everything that deal with the medical science and technology gonna have an Egyptian root. This is in the Babylonian Egyptian system that we in. But how the Creator freed us from being bondmen. That's like now we are bondmen to this Amorite administrative system that they got set up. All right. Know therefore that the Elohim thy Yah is Yah, the faithful Yah, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him, and he will repay him to his face. That thou shalt therefore keep the commandment and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Elohim thy Yah shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto thy fathers, and he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee, and he will also bless the fruit of thy womb and the fruit of thy land, and thy corn and thy wine and thy oil, and the increase of thy kin and the flocks of thy sheep in the land which he swore unto thy fathers. Now, if you notice that all those things that the Creator named that he will bless us with, how about that these evil beasts and then turned it into a curse, and how that the fertility they trying to stop, and the corn they done genetically altered, the sheeps they done genetically altered, and how the land won't really produce what it's supposed to. See, all that comes from the Canaanite culture that we are living in, the culture of destruction. It's the culture of destruction. Thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you or among your cattle. Yeah, because, we're not using artificial substance and changing the structure of things around. Like, this is what they done perfected today. The genetic altering of everything. And that's come from that Canaanite culture. Let me see. And the Elohim will take away from thee all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee. See, these old manufactured diseases. That's like I just did a video not too long ago about the biological warfare and how enemies mastered it and been practicing biological warfare for a long time on populations and so forth, and how ain't nothing new up under the sun. Look, all right. And thou shalt consume all the people which the Elohim thy Yah shall deliver thee. Then I shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. If thou shalt say in thine heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispose them? Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shall and will remember that the Elohim thy Yah did, what he did to Pharaoh and unto all Egypt. That's like now, even though we're a small number and the enemy is great and got all these massive weapons of destruction. How about if we come into our Israelite heritage and start claiming that we the Hebrew Israelites, that their weapons will be powerless, and how that they will become powerless overnight, and they know this, and that's why they keep that culture of black destruction on us, knowing that the word black means destruction, death, and no good, and how they got the whole population subliminally trained to that black means destruction, and then they got us walking around calling ourselves black, talking about Black Lives Matter. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction in their schooling structure, and how that black means gloomy, death, and no good, but then how we trying to say that black means positive, and and so forth. No, we can't play these games with these folks no more. We got to go and tell these folks we Hebrews and quit playing with these folks. Is what we got to do. All right, but you see, look, thou shalt not be afraid of them, but that thou shalt remember what the Elohim thy Yah did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt, the great temptations which then I saw, in the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm, whereby the Elohim thy Yah brought thee out. So shall the Elohim thy Yah do unto all the people whom thou art afraid. Moreover, the Elohim thy Yah will send the hornet among them until they are left, and hide them from thee and be destroyed. Moreover, the Elohim thy Yah will send the hornet among them until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for the Elohim thy Yah is among you, a mighty Yah and terrible. And the Elohim thy Yah will put all these nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But the Elohim thy Yah shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. See, the Creator hated these folks. He hated they nations in the governments, in the gods that they serve. Hebrews, how about that? If you read that book about ancient Cypher, you will see that those Babylonian gods served the fallen angelic beings, Nabu, Murdoch, Enki, Neely, and a whole bunch of other fallen angelic beings. And how did that Canaanite culture that we didn't destroy govern the whole Western culture? And how did they trying to get the Eastern nations on it now? But the Eastern nations is trying to, you know what I'm saying, they holding out. And the Creator then gave them the knowledge to be armed with the same armaments as they enemies have. You know, the China's supposed to have better planes and better bombs than the United States have, and so forth. And how that them Babylonian scribes is trying to get the Eastern nations on this administrative structure and culture that they have today. And then that's going to complete the one world government plan that they have. But that's not in the plan, because the Creator Almighty Yah didn't prophesize or tell his prophets that we would be dominated by the Canaanite culture forever. You know, us Hebrews breaking covenant and running into Africa during the Babylonian wars. We was on Egyptian religion and had been messed up from the Egyptian religion for a long time, and then that allowed, you know, those Babylonian scribes to be set in our land. You know, like I showed you that they was Amorites, and basically what happened is that the Amorites got their land back from us. We was tricked out the land into Africa where we was enslaved from, and that the Amorites got their land back. And I have proved how that the people from Cypher, the Babylonian scribes from Cypher, are Amorites. Ain't no getting around that. How that those are Amorites, and how that the Amorites are the founders of Babylon, and how Sephardim translate into Sephardi. I just showed it to you. Let me do it again. Let's do it again. How Sephardim translate into Sephardi. Alright. How Sephardim translate into Sephardi. Sephardim. Alright, you see Sephardim? Alright. They letting you know. Sephardi. See, Sephardi, that's the correct spelling in English. Alright, those people from Sephardim is from Sipper. And Sipper is the administrative government for the whole Babylon. The whole Babylon in its cities, and how all the administration came from there. And those are the people that we abandoned our heritage to in 722 BC when they was placed in Samaria. Let's go look at that. Let's look at that. And then how did those people would come over to the west and set their synagogues and their institution up. And that's what we have today. They had the first schools. They founded the first schools. All right, if you go to 2 Kings, look, all praise be Almighty, y'all turn right to it. Turn right to it. All right, 2 Kings. Chapter 17, verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuddar, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. But you see that word Sepharvaim? That's ancient Sipper right here. That's ancient Sipper. And if you read the cuneiform text of how they function, you're going to see that it's identical to the government and structure, administrative structure that we have today. And then come to find out, look, all of the oldest congregations in the New World were founded by Sephardic Jews. You see, and the Sephardic Jews set up the first institutions. The first institutions, the synagogues gonna be the first institutions. And then if you look at how did this country is set up and how did they control the wealth, and kind of like people say, dang, how they control all the wealth just being just a few people in a small group, is because that they set up the administrative structure and know how to make all the wealth come back to them through the tax system and so forth. And how that they was the first judges and the first lawyers and the first municipal settings, mayors and all that. And how they set up all those institutions, and how they created the secret societies and so forth, and how they rule from the back. Now that's where, where their rule come from, is that they able to pick people to rule their institutions while they in the background with the secret societies and so forth. And they've been ruling like that for a long time. And how did this Amorite culture that we live in is destroying everything and everybody, and how that we Israelites, once we get free of it, is a utopia. And that's what they don't want. They don't want us to have a utopia, because we'll be free of their taxing system. We'll be free of them governing us, and they don't want that. And the Creator say we gonna be free, and how that they not gonna have dominion over us forever like they think they do. See, the people, don't know what type of people that we dealing with, is because the men, the Hebrews, are asleep. They sleep, and this system that they got, man, it is strong, and it's hard to come up out of it if you don't know, the type of people that you dealing with. And us as Israelites, we supposed to wake up and be free of this Canaanite culture and system. Is the whole plan, and you can worship Almighty Yah and be spiritual if you free from them, from the Canaanite structure and so forth. And that'll be our utopia. That's our utopia. You know what I'm saying? The Creator said we're going to be free from these folks, and how we're going to, be redeemed from these folks, and how that we're going to have some redemption, and we're going to come off and up under their control. And man, it's impossible to come off and up under their control if it's not by the Creator, because they've been having administrative structure for thousands of years and they mastered it and so forth. That's like your police, your judges, your public works, your civil servants. Man, every aspect of a government come from them as explained in, they cuneiform, texts and so forth that they left behind, and how, they'll slick try to disassociate themselves with their past, but they be the people that translate their history clearly and so forth. Big old con gang. Oppenheimer did the one of the institutions behind the translations of their cuneiform texts, explaining how that they developed the governments that put the chokehold on the citizens. Alright. Hebrews, we gonna come up out of this. Almighty Yah say we was, and Almighty Yah is our only Savior, and how we don't have no other salvation. But now this said the Elohim that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. And when thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burnt, neither shall the flame kindled upon thee. For I am the Elohim thy Yah, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I have gave Egypt for thy ransom, and Ethiopia and Seba for thee. Since thou was precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee, and people for thy life. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thee seed from the east, and gather thee from the west. And I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the end of the earth. The Creator gonna bring us home, and we gonna get some freedom from this Amorite culture that we are in prison to. It's like I say, the whole structure of how this system function come from the Sephardic Jews and the Babylonian system. And look, this is where the Illuminatis, the Ashkenazi gonna get the light from, is when that they took over the Sephardic way, and now they control the Amorite culture. The Sephardic ideal has always been understood in the terms of political moderation and community unity. Rarely did Sephardim lose their internal cohesion, that is, until the process of cultural erosion set in. Following the Ashkenazi lead, Sephardim abandoned their traditional culture and adapted to the fractious Ashkenazi model under the rubric of a single Jewish nation. The Sephardi, particularly with its cultural genius and sophisticated social morals, has become a lost value. The Ashkenazi culture, which is with its deeply unsettled relationship to the larger world, has now become the Jewish standard. But it all go back to the Babylonian scribes being set up in Samaria in 722 BC, the Sephardims, as I read, and then us Hebrews being on that Egyptian religion, and then when the Creator sent the Babylonians, who was Ashkenazi, to chase us out of the promised land, and then how we went into Africa and abandoned our heritage to the Babylonian scribes. The Babylonian scribes first, and then Ashkenazi and the Sephardic Jews would have proxy wars over our heritage, and that's when the Ashkenazi created Christianity, and the Catholic Church come after those Sephardic Jews that was in Spain, and then they went over to the Americans and set everything up. But There go Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz is settled in Scythopolis. Scythopolis gonna be the head city of the Discopolis cities. Those are the cities that Jesus hung out in, and that's who he hung out with was Ashkenazi. And I explained in videos how the exiles, who would have been the only Israelites in the Promised Land, when they come back from the Mesopotamian captivity, freed by the Persians, how that they was killed off real fast by the Greeks, the peoples kindred to Ashkenazi, and how us that had ran into Africa during the Babylonian wars, are the only Hebrews. That's one of the reasons why the Creator said this. After we had broke covenant and knowing that them Babylonian scribes would get our heritage, and how it's almost impossible for us to uproot them folks up out of our heritage. That's why it's hardly no materials or nothing on earth to point that we are Israelites besides the Tanakh. And how I showed the quietest history on the face of this earth is about us Hebrews running into Africa during the Babylonian wars, and how it wasn't documented at all by these Babylonian scribes and so forth, and how they didn't document us going into Africa. But this is what the Creator said. Behold, this is Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days come, said the Elohim, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them. But this said the Elohim, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Elohim. I will put my law in their inward parts, and will write it in their hearts, and will be their Yah, and they shall be my people, and they shall not teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Elohim, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. But you see what it says, and I will put my law in their in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts. See, because if it's in the book and we have to get, and depend on that, then our enemy is going to come snatch that up. But if it's in our heart and inside us, they can't touch it. They can't touch it. All right, Hebrews, the administrative structure that we have today comes from Sipper, from the Sephardics, and how Ashkenazi took it over later. But this is us Hebrews going into Africa during the Babylonian wars, abandoning our heritage to those Babylonian scribes. And those Babylonian scribes were nothing but Amorites, and how Amorites are the founders of Babylon and Sipper, and how we didn't destroy them, and how when we was ran out the land, how the Amorites got their land back. If you go to Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 15, 16, 17, and 18, the most crucialist verse in the Tanakh, which showed that we Israelites broke the covenant just like the Creator said would happen. Look, then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Petros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. We see it because we wasn't in Africa doing the Egyptian religion was the reason why the Babylonians, the Scythians, was coming to chase us up off the land. And them gonna be the people that chased us up off the land, and they shot so many arrows at us, and that they still finding the arrows today. They still finding arrows today from the arrows that the Scythians shot at us. But when we Israelites ran into Africa to do the Egyptian religion, and we left our heritage to those Babylonian scribes, then that's one of the reasons why our heritage got blotted out, is because we dealing with some folks that got the ability to do that if you fall up under their administrative structure, as we Israelites did. And then the Creator told us that we would, said we would break the covenant. If you go to Deuteronomy 31:16. And the Elohim said unto Moses, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land, where they go to be among them, and will forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them. See, if the Creator hide his face from you, then you're going to fall up under that Amorite culture that you didn't destroy. And I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured. Now, what in the world can devour us if the Creator hide his face from us? None other than that Amorite culture, that administrative culture that they got set up to bleed you out your life. It's going to get you. You're going to fall prey to it, and it's going to devour you, because there's no way to fight against it. It has to be destroyed. And every time that the Creator destroyed one of those Amorite holdings, it had to been done by violence. Right, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they shall say in that day, Are not all these evils come upon us, because our Yah is not among us? See, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why we've been getting devoured, is because we've been in this Canaanite culture. In this Canaanite culture, man, it ain't nothing nice. It ain't nothing nice, and the Creator outlined the evil wickedness that he told us not to do, that they do. Alright, look here, if we, let's see here. Alright, Hebrews, I think you Hebrews got to understand that the Babylonian scribes from Sephardic are the Sephardic Jews. Sephardim, I just showed you Sephardim in the Bible. And they was placed in Samaria, and how it's only two set of Jews. Look, you see Sephardim right there? They come from Sephardic. They come from Sephardic. They come from Sephardic. They come from ancient Sephardic. A place ain't no joke. No joke. And then how did, if you go type in Sephardim, they gonna change this one day, but it's too late now. It's too late now. If you type in Sephardim, and how it changes into Sephardi, and the Sephardi Jews are the ones that exported that Babylonian system into the rest of the world and so forth. And that's what we are caught up in. This administration structure comes from the Sephardic Jews, and is evil and wicked. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. We Israelites gonna have to pray to Almighty Yah that he bring us into our heritage quickly, because, man, without Almighty Yah, you can't get off and up under the administrative structure that the Amorites create. It's impossible when you are governed by them, and then a system is set up. You can't get out of it. It's horrible. Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. You Hebrews, wake up. You Hebrews, wake up.